On this episode of That Kingsville Podcast, it's Budget 2025 Deliberations.
Budgetness.
Oh, budget. Yeah, that's a very appropriate way to describe it. Budget. What do you guys get for Christmas this year? Well, we get to deliberate a budget.
I love it.
You guys do. You've covered budgets for years.
Favorite time of the year.
Yeah, me too. I love it.
Says nobody. I can hear the YouTube clicks turn up. Like, oh my gosh, budget. No, it's important, especially in a town.
It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. That and plenty more on this episode of That Kingsville Podcast. That Kingsville Podcast proudly brought to you by Kingsville Brewery. Christmas beer. Nothing better than sitting down in front of the Christmas tree, nice fire.
By the hearth.
Yes.
Football.
Family, friends, football, and a delicious Kingsville Brewery in your hand.
Or beer.
Oh, beer, yes, Kingsville Brewery beer.
It'd be hard to hold the brewery.
Maybe I've had a couple of Kingsville Brewery beers. Yeah, delicious Hefeweizen, Czech Lager, Light A.
I'll be honest. No, not to slight the Hefeweizen, but I'm probably not going for that by the Christmas tree.
Not at all, but it's still a delicious.
The stout out.
Oh yeah.
Suck back.
You should see my mantle. I actually just took some IPA and Czech and put them beside each other. It's beautiful.
Very
it's beautiful. Nice little bow.
KingsvilleBrewery.com. Free delivery in Windsor and Essex County. All your beer needs. Thank you, Kingsville Brewery, for supporting That Kingsville Podcast. Welcome to That Kingsville Podcast. It's me, Dave, Kevin, and Steve, back again for another episode. Hey, everyone.
Let's do this.
Oh, yeah.
Is this the last one?
It's the last one for 2024, folks. So guess what?
Not forever. So.
Not forever. No.
Sorry.
Unless, Gary decides we're done. But no, we're not done yet. No.
Thanks, Gary.
Yeah. No, this is usually the episode where we take a look at the budget proposal for 2025. We'll get there, somewhere in this episode. But yeah, we're 3 years in now. Right. This is old hat for us. You're three local buffoons doing not the news.
This is budget number 3.
That is budget number 3
for us.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we did reach out to the Town of Kingsville. Unfortunately, nobody could join us. I'm sure there's scheduling conflicts or whatever.
They're working on the budget.
They are working on the budget. And then, that's what you would hope that they would be doing. In a couple of days' time from this podcast recording, council will be voting on said budget.
So we're recording on the 3rd. I believe it's the 4th.
Oh, is it tomorrow?
Yeah. So we're actually going to be talking about stuff that may change before this gets released. Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah. But it was in the initial proposal draft budget. So for all of those folks at home, just hang tight. We'll get to budget. But
draft budget was always chilly.
That one fell flat.
Okay, that was good.
You can do better.
I like it. No, that was good.
Oh,
I like it. Yeah, I'll take it. That's good.
It's cold in here.
I've opened the door. All right. Let's go.
Let's go.
So well, hang on.
Oh, sorry. Well, we just established that this is exciting time for us.
Okay, fine.
No, what?
Okay,
what else do you want to do?
Yeah,
let's talk about it because budget's going to take us some time.
For all of you who want to follow along at home, you can go to haveyoursay.kingsville.ca. And in there, that is what the municipality is using for communication. This is where we were able to pull the draft budget. There is a forum for people that wanted input. So if this deliberation does go further, I'm sure that'll still be, an ongoing conversation. However, if they pass said budget tomorrow after this recording, you can go download a copy and see, what exactly.
And they may very well. It took them one day last year.
Correct. Yeah. And you know what? I think that maybe as we kind of go through this, it might end up being another quick process. So.
I'll tell you, because and so you can go look at the budget. It has a preamble at the beginning.
Yes.
And then if you're sick like us, then you can actually go line by line into the spreadsheet. I'll tell you, normally I'm pretty what?
Yep.
Did you just
cell phone?
Did that move by itself?
That was
the
cell
phone pushed it.
I'm usually pretty skeptical of the preamble. But this one was bang on. And cheers to Ryan McLeod, because I went through it and then I went through the document. I pulled out a couple of little nuggets, but I'll tell you, most of the important stuff is highlighted in that preamble. So if you want a good idea of what's in there and you don't feel like reading
88 pages.
Yeah, 3,000 some lines of Excel spreadsheet, then read the paragraphs instead.
Yeah. So again, the draft budget at this point in time. We'll see what happens and makes it through. But gentlemen,
yeah,
the floor is yours.
Do you want to start, Steve?
You're salivating.
Well, no, I mean, my meat and potatoes is always like, okay, where are they reconstructing? What roads are they doing? And
we got to do tax increase.
Yeah,
first.
no, we will. But so 5.8.
Yep.
That's just on the municipal levy.
Yep.
The County of Essex don't think has passed theirs. Maybe tomorrow night.
I think it gets
council
sent
or county
Essex County Council.
Yeah.
I think it passed.
Did it pass
Yesterday?
Oh,
Hey,
on a Monday? They usually meet on Wednesdays. Okay, you can tell we're prepped. Okay,
Yeah.
so okay.
Again.
No, but because, the only reason I say that is because obviously our overall tax rate.
it's different.
Yes. So the increase on the municipal levy proposed at this point is 5.8%. Not bad. The only reason I say not bad as opposed to good is when you're factoring the increase this year with the increase last year, and you look at what it was 2 years ago, that's a significant chunk of change. Okay, so county council 3.76%. Okay, so overall, when you break it down, it's not like you add the 5.2 to the 3 or 5.8 to 3.76 and get right, and there's the education rate in there too. Anyway, back to the 5.8. So if you were to compare the two, or compare it to 2 years ago, yeah, that is a significant increase. But as we discussed last year, and we're going to get into it a little bit this year. Oh, we lost the light.
Lost the overhead light, Gary.
It's all right.
Danger.
Oh,
hey, sun down. Disco.
It's okay.
Go
I like
ahead.
the best in the dark.
Face for radio.
Lost my train of thought.
So 5.8%.
Right. So as we're going to discuss throughout some of the highlights, it is necessary because we've talked ad nauseum about the deficit the previous councils have left the municipality in, whether it's staffing or amenities or vehicles, whatever. You know, we were short. So anyway, Kevin, I'm going to turn over to you because you've done a heck of a job here summarizing.
Well, so 5.8%, it works out to $120 on a home assessed by MPAC at $250,000.
So can we take just a quick brief step and discuss about what MPAC has still not done?
And no politician's going to allow it to happen,
of course not,
anytime soon. But the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation is in charge of all assessments across the province. And if you haven't had any significant work done to your house, or your neighborhood hasn't been reassessed, or you just happen to win the reassessment lottery, then your home could very well still be assessed at, like, I want to say 2005 values.
I thought it was 11.
Did they do a reassessment in 11?
I thought it was 11. That's okay.
They've done one since 5. Yes.
It's been like over a decade, and so your home assessment is different than what your actual property value is. There still would be a number of homes in Kingsville that would be assessed at $250,000. And generally they pick that number because it's the average assessment of a residential property in the town. So 5.8%, if your home has been reassessed, your taxes will increase more than that amount.
Yeah, and there was an update to 2016 for some residents.
For some, yeah.
So
and the town has no control over MPAC assessments. So if you get reassessed, all of a sudden your tax bill jumps. Yes, the town administration, the town benefits from the increased tax dollars, but
which in turn, so do we.
Right,
as residents.
Exactly. And so, but at the same time, the town had no control over that reassessment. Right. So 5.8% is $120. And the other thing for residents in the town of Kingsville to remember is that we have the second lowest property taxes in the county. And because of that, our percentage increases are different in dollar value proportionally to the amount of that other people pay in taxes. So
But I always hated that argument. I always hate the argument. Sorry to butt in here.
It's okay.
Comparing it to other municipalities.
100%.
Only because They have things that we don't have. We have things that they don't have, whether it's a marina or
pool.
Well, no, right. So there's different things that people are paying for. So
exactly.
But the only way, in my opinion, that argument holds water and pool reference.
Yep, that was good.
And I get it, as long as you never compare against the services that are happening in another town. So like, you can't be upset because someone's ball diamonds look better than yours are.
Right.
You can't be upset because another town has 3 splash pads and we only have 2. Like,
no, and that's fair. But
right.
I'm just saying, right, it doesn't matter where we rank because, you know, you could make a case that, well, I'd much rather live there for this amenity, but I'd much rather live in Kingsville for this amenity.
100%.
All right, let's dive in.
He's all over the pool jokes, isn't he? He's going to water down this podcast really quickly.
Nothing.
Okay, so I got to take my glasses off because then I can't read up close. So we've got infrastructure investments of $450,000 increase to life cycle reserves. Sounds boring. Basically, we're going to set more money aside than we have in the past to pay for road work that's going to happen in the future.
And Brian McLeod does point this out in his preamble. You know,
100%.
And that's the bad news coming up front.
No, but this is great planning, and this started years ago. It's like when they did the the fleet management study, when like, okay, we're going to need this and this year, and this is simply okay. They've no doubt identified, okay, all these roads are going to need to be done in the next 10 years, so let's start planning.
They're going to spend $4.5 million on road reconstruction and resurfacing, and we'll get into the details of that in a little bit. $1 million for bridge replacements. There's one bridge, and Road 8, I want to say, that's like 3/4 of that cost, and then the others are smaller culverts. But there's one significant bridge project, and then $280,000 for sidewalk replacements. That's spread throughout the town.
Yes, well, I mean, even in newer subdivisions, I've noticed, like on Woody Crest, Blue Jay, Lucas, they've done some touch-ups to even them out. So. Some safety.
Facility investments. So they're going to spend $200,000 to increase their facility life cycle reserves.
So that's an annual increase. So whereas the infrastructure was just an increase, an annual. So obviously this is again planning ahead for.
That's planning ahead. So that's setting more money, and that's an increase. So they're already setting money aside in reserves. This is a $200,000 increase to that amount of money that they're setting aside in reserves for facility improvements. And then they're going to spend $660,000 to repair different facility repairs, which is like OPP station, I think, gets a roof. I think Ruthven Library gets a roof.
Oh, it doesn't have one?
No.
Okay.
The police just have buckets everywhere.
Cool.
Umbrellas.
Yeah, lots of umbrellas. There's actually a whole cascade of umbrellas. and then $350,000 on the Lions Hall Community Center.
What stood out the most about that is, I don't know if this is your doing or you took this from the initial report, but the apostrophe in the correct place for Lions. That's what really stood out to me.
Oh. That was definitely not me.
Because the number of times you see LION apostrophe S, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Wrong spot. Anyway, that's the grammatical person in me.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, this next one excites me. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we've got staffing enhancements.
Yes.
So, and we're going to break down, and it is a little bit different than what you see in the budget. And so the budget lays out that there's 3 new full-time positions. That's a park supervisor, a drainage clerk, and a water services staff. That water services staff will do locates. I guess the town is behind on getting locates done, and there is actually prescribed timelines for locates, so they have to do it, and that's paid for through utilities. But the drainage clerk, park supervisor, those are paid for through tax dollars. 3 new part-time roles includes a new park support staff and 2 additional programming students. The drainage or the park supervisor and the park support staff. One of the reasons that's laid out that new staff is required in the Parks Department, and just one of several. But one of the reasons was because of use by the Erie Migration District School.
You used it. You could have just said the new school.
Because isn't it interesting that the town is going to have to hire to help cover issues that could arise from the school using the town's facilities? And I'll tell you, and I did look for it, and I'm not going to say it's not there, but I did not see any offsetting revenues generated from the school board to cover the increased cost of using those facilities. Not saying it's not there, but it's interesting that now upkeep on fields will fall on municipal tax. It's all the same taxpayer at the end of the day, but it's interesting it's going to end up falling on a municipal taxpayer as opposed to a public school board taxpayer.
That is a whole other conversation.
Yeah, it's coming out of your left pocket and study, right?
Right. Well, I wouldn't pay for it.
I was going to say, those who pay their school taxes to not the publicboard.ca board.
I was going to use the same joke.
Their funds are now, you know, their tax dollars are going towards more than one school board, essentially, if you want to really break it down.
And now again, there's a very good chance that there may be some revenue buried into some of those parks lines that's under like baseball diamond usage and soccer field usage, but I couldn't find it.
But let's look at it this way too. The hockey team has always used the arena, has always used municipal fields, as have the baseball teams. Off the top of my head, the only new usage by the school for town property is the soccer teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they would have used the fields
because
behind
the tennis teams plays at the arena courts, as do historically they always have. As for the track team,
still no
I'm
track.
not sure. You know, Jasperson's got a nice path, so I guess that's municipal property. I'm being facetious, Dave.
I know, but it bothers anyway.
But it's if you've driven by there at lunchtime, there's students everywhere.
Oh yeah,
all over the fields, and increased garbage, increased trash throughout the areas.
Good point.
People walking throughout the fields when they're wet. Like there could end up being more implications from students being around there other than just playing soccer.
True. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Good point.
But I did think that I picked that up. I thought that was interesting. Of course, the park supervisor and support staff will also help with lots more than just because of the school, but maybe they'll make sure that the grass is cut more often for you, Steve. Like,
I wonder if the operating costs for the arena, though, like if that's going to increase, because there's a canteen that's open and the students go there to eat because there isn't,
right, which is something the town contracts out.
Correct, but all of the restrooms, the garbage pickup, the maintenance around
the arena is a separate budget.
Correct.
Than parks, right? And it didn't,
but it's going to drive.
Yeah.
So, and that's something as a result of the school. I don't know. It'd be interesting just to find out. See.
And they're kids, so there's probably the occasional silliness or mishaps.
Well, yeah. There was already a publication that came out from administration at the school to remind students to be good public, stewards around and make sure that they're taking care of their town. Anyway, back to budget.
Sure.
Right. Now, there on top of that, there are some increases to salary lines throughout the budget that aren't highlighted, and that's because of mid-year hires that hadn't previously been budgeted for. One of those is a new planning assistant to help because there was a backlog in reviewing and approving planning documents for developers. You may remember there was a concern from developers earlier in the year brought forward that the town wasn't being, I don't know.
Well,
they weren't replying quickly or getting work done quickly. So to solve that mid-year, they hired a planning assistant. And then also they did some reallocation of time in the budget to put one of the directors was working more in the building department than other departments, so that they moved some of that charge.
Well, that's And stuff you see every year.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then there's some just general wage increases throughout, which you would expect, right? Parks Rec support. So, we mentioned that. The increased pressures on park staff due to the Kingsville school athletic programs. There is some growth investment, and there's a lot of work, and it's being funded through not through tax dollars, but through long-term debt, which will eventually be paid back through development charges. And that work is on a new West Side Collector Road, which would run from near Home Hardware up to Road 2, and then an associated water main, which will run the water mains to connect to the water main that will run down that road. So there's $3.5 million in there for the water main expansion to get the large size water mains there. And then there's also $2 million for land acquisition, engineering, and surveys to begin the groundwork to start construction on that new road.
Yep.
And that opens up, especially those water mains, a lot of those fields to be able to be developed into subdivisions,
which already has had those site plan approvals, and we've been talking about it on the show for a couple of years now. 600 house, was it Valenti?
There's a couple over there.
There's a few.
Yeah. So and really, it's what that's going to do is give them a spot to be able to grow the town that's still part of town services, but in a significant way.
Yeah, they'd have to redefine town boundaries at that point. And have to stretch it west.
It's still before Gulfside, right? Because you aren't making the turn yet. It's before Kingsville Golf Course.
Yeah.
So where's the boundaries?
I thought it was Heritage Road at County Road 20.
Why?
Sorry?
The town
Sorry,
boundary.
I'm reading ahead.
Town boundary.
Town
Heritage.
boundary. I mean,
it's town proper.
Arner Town Line.
Is it
in Albiona?
No, like Town of Kingsville, not like the amalgamated.
Oh, the old town?
Yeah.
It was Heritage at Cull.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, go on.
Does it matter though now? It doesn't matter now.
But now we want to start talking about affordable housing, and then the demographics that now, as a square kilometer area of town, right? Does that now change what we have to comply with as the province sees us? Like, what other facilities and services do we need to offer as a town of a certain size?
No, because you're the town of Kingsville. When they amalgamated that's
but not in the. It's not required in the area of concentration of population. No. Okay.
No.
All right, moving on. Thanks, Kev.
You're welcome. They set aside another $400,000 for the new school properties to put into reserves. They did the same thing last year. The budget outlines that they don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to make that purchase or not, but they want to have money set aside just in case they do.
Yep.
The OPP contract wages are going up $385,000, which is a significant increase on that. I believe that's a 7% increase on the OPP budget. The OPP budget is provincially bargained, so the town doesn't have an impact.
No, they can't do anything about that.
No, it's just a cost that's passed down. So then we get into so that's kind of the major key highlights that are laid out by the town. So now we're going to get into some of the little nuggets that I kind of picked out, like just little like, oh, that's an interesting tidbit, see, it's illuminating. Transit budget.
You're shining some light on the subject.
Right.
Oh, here he goes. Wow.
Now, and as we go through these, what's very important to remember is that we're talking about a municipal budget in the magnitude of over $20 million.
Right.
So when we're, questioning spending like $50,000, just understand, yes, it's an interesting decision. However, it's not like it's making a significant impact on your tax bill. Okay. Mm-hmm. Just to preface. Mm-hmm. So for the first time, there is transit budgeted in the budget, which I'm sure will get discussed during deliberations, which are happening tomorrow or for our listeners, yesterday-ish.
Yeah.
But 38,000 is set aside for transit. It doesn't lay out what that means. I would assume, and again, assumptions make an ass out of you and me. I know.
Well, he looked at you there.
Poignant.
Appreciate that.
I'm a buffoon. I wear it.
But I would think that is helping to fund the bus that's already coming into town. Maybe it's something else. But I'm going to think that there's probably some sort of agreement to download some of those costs back to the towns.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Hey, it's better than us providing our own buses.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And offset costs, people can get up to the city, get back it's a good thing. I actually, if I remember right, someone ran on that in their platform when they ran for council. It was me. Short-term rental licensing.
I was like, was it you?
Yeah. I was waiting for that.
So everyone remembers short-term rental licensing was passed. Short-term rental licensing, what's that mean? It's Airbnbs.
Yeah.
So licensing Airbnbs and Verbos and HomeAways and Quick Stays and Bonvoys and all of those.
You got them all.
I know all of them. So they're going to start licensing them, and they're actually going to make a significant amount of money off the licensing, which surprised me by the amount that they're budgeting.
It's quite a few here.
So projected revenue of close to $52,000 for fire inspection fees of Airbnbs, and then an additional $159,000 in licensing fees. They are allocating increased costs to the town of $14,000 to monitor compliance to their licensing rules. So really, you're looking at a net revenue generator of $200,000 for that licensing program.
Hey.
Community initiatives. So this is separate from the grant program. The grant program has been pulled out of actual budget deliberations. They handle that separately now. It used to be the most arduous, awful thing to sit through.
And contentious, too.
And contentious. Yeah. Like, it would be a full day of arguing over, like, $60,000.
Right. And some people would leave angry.
Oh, yeah. It was rough.
Yeah.
So thank God they don't do that anymore. But there are... So that's the grant program. So that money is budgeted as one lump sum. And then they make decisions on who gets that lump sum spread. But there are some specific... What?
No, I just think back to when it started out. I remember, and I think I've told this story before, but I remember when I first started covering budget 20 years ago, and there were maybe 3 line items, and they were adamant that that's how it stayed. It was like, okay, the Kingsville Essex Band has gotten this historically, and there were 2 others. And then the next thing you know, it's like $150,000 in grant requests, which was like a crazy portion of the tax bill.
Well, and you would have counselors who are like very involved in these groups, making these decisions, and it was difficult to watch because like watching counselors trying to decide who deserves money more, the military museum or scouts.
Yeah.
Oh, it was tough.
I know,
but at the end, it did pit community group against community group vying for dollars. So anyway, it's smarter now. Onward.
But they also do specifically name some organizations that just have their own line item. One of those was the Kingsville Music Society. So they have historically received a $25,000 grant. There's no Folk Fest or Greenway Jam or what was the last one called?
Greenway Jam, wasn't it?
Was it the Greenway Jam too?
It doesn't matter.
No.
I can't remember.
Gary.
It's Kingsville Music Festival.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's not coming back. So
yeah, they made an announcement at the end of the year.
Yeah. So instead of giving the $25,000 to the Kingsville Music Society, they've set aside $20,000 for quote music and culture events.
Okay.
The Music Society was running a lot of those concerts that were in the gazebo and some of the stuff at Grovedale. So I'd assume this money will probably transition to pay for what was happening that they were running through the year.
I would hope there would be something that could be recovered, given the fact that the festival is not going to take place.
Right. And then Communities in Bloom. I'm not, and I would assume there's something specific tied to this increase, but they went from a $7,000 budget to a $17,000 budget. Can you shed some light on?
No,
on
but
this?
I just I'm looking at all these big numbers, and the one that stood out is this one, the $10,000, and the only reason is. Okay, Communities in Bloom, we've done really well with this. We won a national award provincially. And
I remember
it's
a farm that was
fantastic.
specifically named when...
Right. So we've done very well over the years with Communities in Bloom. And I'm not going to knock this program. But if you want to make a community look nice, if there's no increased money in there to kill the damn weeds along the roads and make them look nice, take the $10,000 and kill the weeds. Kill the weeds.
No, I did, and I'm not.
No, but seriously, you drive down the street and you've got these homes that are well kept. The yards are mowed and they're trimmed and everything like that, and flowers are blooming. And then you look along the side of the street and there's this giant weed, and then there's another small weed, and it just looks a mess. And that's the town's responsibility. So
they're going to have an extra support staff.
I'm going to nitpick on this one. Sure, and that's a good start. But if there's no money put aside for getting rid of those weeds, I want that $10,000 to kill those damn weeds.
Now,
anyway,
and
because then the community isn't necessarily blooming, but it looks clean and tidy and neat. And
I do want to give them a little bit of credit, and again, it's an assumption because we don't have anyone from the town here to be able to answer it for us. But I did read, I believe the Kingsville Horticultural Society is handing back maintenance of the beds.
I think so,
and so I'm thinking that potentially this $10,000 is going to go to maintenance of the flower beds around town. But again, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Wasn't Communities in Bloom mostly volunteer run anyway?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
So, okay.
I'm not sure. I don't know, man.
Just as long as they do a blooming good job with those weeds.
So you may remember, and there was some discussion about this, I believe, on some of the online social media networks recently. But Neptune Water went through and replaced the water mains.
Your meters.
The meters, not mains, meters, the water meters.
Yep.
So they did it, and I was looking, and it's difficult to pull because the water budget is huge. First, like there's it's a difficult one to break down. It's 100% utility covered. It's like over almost $4 million in revenue that comes in from water rate charges. And then a lot of that goes back out because they purchase bulk water from Union Water. So it's a difficult one to break down. So it's hard to see if there's an impact of the water meter program. There's a very good chance that the program is doing what it's doing, is helping the town to better track water usage and all of that. But I did think that it was a lot of money that the software costs $70,000 a year.
Well, that's an annual cost?
That's an annual cost.
Oh, that's a monopoly.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a monopoly?
I
It's a
guess
SaaS,
I missed the
right?
annual.
Yeah, it's a
Because you'd
70.
think it was you get the meters, you buy the software, and boom, Bob's your uncle. You're off.
I'm pretty sure it's a subscription based.
Wow.
It was listed under the subscriptions that IT has.
Okay.
Wonder what the annual ROI is.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Right? It's difficult to calculate whether or not they're earning that money back.
I would assume that Ryan and or the accounting staff at Union. Well, it'd be the town.
It'd be the town.
Yeah, I
It'd
would
be the
hope.
water department.
Yeah, they had to have done their due diligence, right? Much like the streetlights.
Yeah. but it's not insignificant. So $70,000 a year for the water meter software. There's a lot of changes, and the IT budget actually has a fairly significant increase. A lot of those are around software subscription changes, which again, a town doesn't really have a whole lot of impact on. If a vendor comes to you and says, we're going to increase our rates, so you're gonna have to pay more. Well, if you need the software, you're kind of stuck. And a lot of times it can cost more money to change to a different software provider.
Correct. Right? And again, this was probably the best fit solution for both, right? I would assume the pomp and circumstance around having to switch the entire town, right? Yeah. Like, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. There's got to be,
and you're talking about like a couple $100,000,
right?
Facility operations. So the Grovedale will run a $43,900 deficit.
Mm-hmm.
Expenses are higher than that, but they're budgeted to earn $25,000 in revenue. Lakeside Pavilion also budgeted to run $25,000 in revenue, so it's going to run a deficit of $47,700. So to operate Lakeside Pavilion and Grovedale, it costs taxpayers $90,000 a year. I would think that there's probably some staffing.
I'm trying to think of what it is
in that,
right? Yeah. Because again, the argument was that Lakeside Pavilion had a ongoing reservation problem because it was always booked and it was constantly generating revenue that way. And I know that the cost difference between the two facilities is significant, right? Yeah. Grovedale is significantly more expensive than the Pavilion, so it's funny to hear that they're about the same deficit wise.
They budget the Pavilion as costing more to operate than the Grovedale.
Right.
Even like there are some issues with the Grovedale around utility costs and all of that.
Well, it'll be interesting.
Now they have also budgeted in the capital budget $100,000 to add storage to the Grovedale. So they're going to do construction in that building.
Well, that's not news. They talked about that, right? They talked about investing in making it a useful facility.
Yeah.
Right. That was when we talked about the curtains.
Exactly. Right. And they need somewhere to put the curtains.
Right.
And tables. I do remember when they released the floor plan of the Grovedale, sitting in a barber chair in town and saying, hey, there's no storage. Like, where are you going to keep your tables and chairs?
Steve, do you remember the time we went to a town meeting and looked at those floor plans?
Yes.
Did it look anything like
wide open spaces?
Yeah. Anyway.
Last little tidbit I pulled because I love parks. So 2 parks are going to get replaced this year, cost of $425,000. They're going to redo Cedar Island Park and the Williams Park playgrounds.
Where's Williams Park?
Is that the one in the Gulfside subdivision near the dog park? Is that?
Well, that would be relatively new. I don't think it'd be due for replacement.
I don't
know.
I didn't look it up.
No,
sorry. I'm doing what excites me, which is the major capital projects. Let me
$4.25, right? Like $425,000 for 2 parks.
Yeah,
that's fine. Park equipment replacement is not cheap.
No, that's basically what they set aside each year to do different. Parks.
Okay, it's the one at William and Murray Street. It's a passive park currently.
William and Murray.
No, never mind. That says it's William Street Park. There's a William Street Park Cottam.
Well, that might be where it is.
Let me see here.
They're part of Kingsville, right?
Okay. Yes, there is equipment there. So it must be Cottam.
I don't know why.
Oh, Kevin. Okay. So
capital projects.
The major one, $3 million for the urban road program, which is Woodfern, Peach, Queen, and Willow. Is that Ruthven or Cottam? Okay, back to
Woodford. Peach. Who's gonna run the map?
That's Ruthven. That is Ruthven. Yes, Queen now. Yeah, so right off between like north of Road 2, west of Union.
Oh yes, yeah.
So that is Slated for urban road program, $3 million. The bridge program, replacement of the Road 3 West bridge over the Nelson Drain, $850,000.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Resurface of McCain Side Road from Bell River Road, County Road 27 to Road 6, $330,000. Rural road program, resurface Graham from Highway 3 to County Road 18, improve the asphalt, $400,000. And then a few smaller projects, couple on Road 5 west and east. Yep, Road 5's getting some resurfacing.
New sidewalks.
County sidewalk replacement, County Road 27 east from County Road 34 to Greenwood. And Division Road south from Pearl to Maple, east side of the road only, $130,000 sidewalk replacement. And what else do we have here? Lions Hall renovation. So that's the roof, the HVAC and other, that $350 that you discussed. Some electrical upgrades, the marina, $45,000. And yeah, some of the major capital, if you will.
Getting some aerators, some more. Yeah, just it's nothing that's sticking out.
No.
Nothing that honestly is like, we're buying another electric train.
Don't touch the train.
I didn't.
It's not like we're going to pave a bunch of paths or anything like that.
Not yet.
Okay, why does somebody always have to go there?
It's an easy target.
The one important thing after all of that, I will say, going through, there are not a lot of line item changes. Most of it comes in the big things that we've kind of discussed. So if you go through line by line, there's little changes here, but you can see offsets in other places where the money's, it's really just being moved. It hasn't been a significant increase or a significant cut. But what I think is the most important is the amount of money that is coming out of reserves is almost equal to the amount of money going back into reserves. So we began 2024 at about $18 million in the bank in reserves, and then we're going to end 2025 with about the same in reserves, which is, budgeted, which is good. It's good use of your tax dollars. So then, we talked about it. In my opinion, good budget. I really think that they did a good job. It's a difficult year with inflationary pressures, and I think that you could tell when you go through the line items, they understood that they couldn't make a lot of significant changes, but people were demanding increases to some services, like builders were demanding that permits be processed quicker, so they added a planning assistant. The parks needed more work, so they've added staff there. So overall, there's not much there.
No, it's the stigma is always when people say, "Well, like, what are you doing when you take more of my money?" Right? Like everybody's too hypersensitive because of the inflationary pressures that goods and services have cost extremely quickly over the last couple of years, right? Like the cost of necessities has increased so rapidly that now we're acutely aware of where is all of my money going, right? Gas is $1.50 a liter and hasn't really fluctuated much less than that for a long time. Right, milk is $6.50 a gallon, or for a bag of 3. Right, like these are things that people have to buy all the time, and if they're aware that those things are costing money, things like taxes, which are invisible, they get hurt by it and they get sensitive to it. However, we have to understand that this is an inevitability that you're gonna have an increase in taxes as time goes on. We can't do things cheaper than we did yesterday. We can't do things cheaper than we did a year ago. We can't. It doesn't work that way. So for us to be able to stomach something that's been reasonable, sorry that you might be upset. We're going to pay more taxes. You're paying more everywhere.
There's always going to be people that are going to be upset that their taxes are going up. And unfortunately, council catered to those people for 10 plus years. And now we're in the position that we're in. And so now you have to start doing some of the work that didn't happen, and that costs money.
Yeah. And recovering from that, I think that the municipalities doing the best they can. Like, they're not slapping us with a 20% rate increase all in one shot, right? Yeah. They're trying to tackle the low-hanging fruit and then plan for some future necessity, right? As Ryan McLeod's preamble is at the beginning of the budget proposal.
And just a reminder, I will compare us to other municipalities when you look at how, their staff roll, the number of people they have on staff. We are extremely understaffed and will be probably for
a long time,
several more years.
Yeah, very lean. And it was run that way for decades.
And it showed at times.
Yeah.
So
as we grow as a town, right? Like, you can't hide it, right?
Yeah.
People are moving here. I'm sorry, all you naysayers. It's never going to be a small town ever again. So, we need more services. We need more people to handle all the influx. So,
well, as we grow, then there's more people paying taxes, which helps provide more money into the coffers, which then helps us get more services added without as significant tax increase as what there could be.
Yeah. And, as we know, certain budgets have certain allowances for things like future planning that don't get used for whatever its intended purpose is, which then just goes to future reserves, right? They can reallocate those funds if it didn't go towards that project and go into something that's more in need at that time. So, good job.
Yeah. Yep.
Yay. All right. Did you get your budget appetite satiated?
Yeah. What else we got?
That's it. It's like, hit me. What's the news?
Thanks for joining us.
Hit me. What's next?
News.
It's Christmas season.
Yeah. Well, no. Can I get one first? So there's been lots of reports about the Coyotes, right? They're in full swing and roaming around the town.
Oh, not the Phoenix Coyotes.
Nor the school Coyotes,
right,
as their nickname is. No, there are wild coyotes roaming the streets of Kingsville. And
how did they get there?
How did they get there?
How did they get there?
Oh. Golly.
Anyway,
I wouldn't even do that.
Okay. Yeah. Edit it out.
And a lot of people are confused about the role of a municipality and coyotes, right? I get it. Like, we're all afraid of what they can do. They're wild animals, and they're not exactly the nice puppy dogs and cute and
no, they like the nice puppy dogs.
They do very much so. They are called food to them. So
delicious.
There's been a lot of people frustrated that the town's not doing anything to eliminate the coyotes. Well, the town can't do anything to eliminate the coyotes. That's nature. Like, you can't target coyotes and eliminate them and shoot them down in the streets. So, as long as they're not doing anything that's
Gary's nodding yes.
Yes, shoot the coyotes in the streets.
Yeah, not near my house, Gary.
Like, there's fields that way.
They can do it
Gary
here.
has a fast car.
He does have a fast car. So,
and a ticket to go anywhere.
I've had them in front of
looked up the M&R regulations around trapping coyotes? Like,
no.
Is that whose responsibility is that? Is that a provincial responsibility?
I would say that the only determination of responsibility was if they were rabid and or causing an absolute menace to local communities, like stalking the children at the school, or maybe they are the real live mascots that just got out. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, but yeah, no.
Rumor was they were being chased out of the school when it was under construction. No, seriously.
Yeah. Oh, they were. Yes, they were.
Yes.
They were in the building.
Yes.
See?
Before it was sealed, yeah.
And before it was called the thing, Home of the Coyotes.
Yeah.
So the Kingsville municipal website has addressed this. It's a part of their animal control. It's coexisting with coyotes. And there's another website that they link to called Coexisting with Wildlife that kind of explains how we, as a municipality and how as we as people, yeah, it's intimidating, right? It'd be like bear coming up to your door and, saying, hey, got any honey? Actually, in Gatlinburg this year, there was bears running all through the town. Right? It's intimidating because they're wild.
That dog?
Can I pet that dog? See, that's a meme. So, did you look at the MNR site?
I'm looking at it right now.
My gosh.
The Ministry of Natural Resources is always available to municipalities and landowners to provide information on what they can do.
So
they will not do anything, but they'll give you all the information on what you can do.
Yeah, so Google it if you're so inclined.
They'll provide advice and information on how to prevent conflicts with coyotes, what to do if you encounter a coyote, actions landowners can take to protect their property, how to find a licensed trapper, and actions municipalities can take to address conflict situations on municipal property. Cool. So so I guess it does kind of. I am surprised. I thought the ministry would have some sort of something other than
zero.
No.
So
look out.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everyone. I got one for community that I didn't mention last episode. So Erie Migration Elementary School Council is holding a holiday hunt, and they're looking for gently used treasures as a fundraiser. So there is one remaining collection date, Thursday, December 12th from 11 to 1 p.m. They're accepting donations of toys, books, household treasures, ornaments, decor, flashlights, tools, games, craft items, kitchenware, jewelry, slippers, hats, mittens, sports, etc. They're not accepting clothing or oversized or bulky items, but these do go towards a fundraiser for the elementary school. So if you'd like to help support that.
Have the schools always done that?
Yeah. It's been what do they call it? The Christmas shop where the kids bring in donated items and buy them. And I've received some pretty cool stuff.
I didn't know that they did that. Yeah, my school, when I was growing up, I remember shopping at one of those when I was a kid. Yeah.
I did cross paths with Fire Chief Scott Moore the other day. Yeah. The town is looking for volunteer firefighters. If anyone's interested, check out the town website or the
great
fire department website.
I do think before we go, we should address the parade.
Yes. Yeah. No. So if you haven't seen it on our YouTube, Gary and I were out there, although my audio didn't quite work. Sorry, I was talking through all those slides or those floats.
Were you? I usually watch your part on mute anyway.
Should. Who wants to listen to this damn voice?
I've had a couple people ask me why we weren't there, and I don't know if you guys have had people ask you why.
I have as well.
No, actually, I don't get it.
No.
Just to see Scott Moore, apparently.
Yeah.
And he was busy during the parade.
He was. They did a good job.
They did. Yeah. No, I did while I was walking the streets up and down the roads because, for the past couple of years, we were up on the balcony doing the announcing, and, the AM 800, they did a great job,
Mike and Sanjay.
Was CTV? Sanjay's CTV.
Yeah, Sanjay's from CTV. Both Mike and Sanjay, great people. I was actually hanging out with Sanjay this week.
Oh, yeah?
Nice guy.
Yeah.
So obviously, we're 100% in support of them doing the parade. People had asked that specifically, so we were happy that they were there to do it, and then also I wasn't going to be there regardless. Mm-hmm. I had my father-in-law's surprise birthday party.
Happy birthday, Lee.
So just so people are wondering, there was no animosity, there were no issues, there was no payment, there was none of any of the rumors that were swirling around. We weren't forced out, pushed out, locked out. No one pushed us down the stairs. Yeah. We just, you know what? We were happy that other people had an opportunity to do it, and we were still able to do what we do, mm-hmm. and it was great.
Yeah, and Gary and I, we took the time because we wanted to, right? Gary, having hosted the footage of the parade, which was something that AM 800 and CTV didn't do. So, if you still want to go back and see the parade, you can go on our YouTube channel and watch it there.
It's a little shorter than these years.
So there's the only rub, right? There was a few things that were missing from the parade. Maybe it was, conflict of schedule. Maybe it was just,
labor actions
and whatnot. I always like seeing the posties and calling them your people running around, but Yeah, it was a little bit of a different kind of atmosphere, but
there are fewer schools.
Correct.
The only school I saw was the LDSS band.
Correct. Yeah, there was no. I think because the new Kingsville school participated in the Migration Fest parade.
No, look, I'm not looking for reasons. I guess I just, it was evident some of the groups that weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
A couple other businesses that came to mind, I won't name them, but who have historically participated weren't there. So,
I know everyone was wondering where the Leah Maria's vans were.
Yeah,
they were
at a party
because we were at a party.
Yeah, taking care of.
But all in all, it was we enjoyed it. Like for the first time in years, I just sat there with my wife and kids, and we watched the parade. The floats were good. The lights were awesome, especially a couple of those trucks. The way they deck them out. So
yeah,
it was fun. Good night.
But yeah, again, we're here. Like we mentioned it last episode, the holiday season kind of crept up on everybody, and this is it for us for 2024. We thank everyone for listening, engaging with us, talking with us. We're just 4 people. Like if it wouldn't be possible without Gary, but the 4 of us do it because we enjoy it, and we like the fact that everybody likes to listen to us and talk to us. Like they think we know what we're doing, but
we don't.
We don't have a clue.
No.
So
we are not media. We are 3 guys that enjoy a Kingsville brewery.
Yeah. Well, and a 4th that facilitates us. So.
Right.
From all of us here at That Kingsville Podcast, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and thank you for watching. We'll see you in 2025.